As a sorcerer, would you like to channel the cosmic forces of order?
Well, then Clockwork Sorcery might be for you. I'm the Mind Flayer Slayer.
And I'm Dr. DM, and we're bringing you all the subclasses for all the classes in the 2024 Player's Handbook. We're now on to Clockwork Sorcery for the awesome Sorcerer rework for 2024. So let's talk about the spell list.
Absolutely. Every class that has access to an expanded spell list now has access to the whole list as known spells all the time. You don't have to choose, or some classes get all of them and some don't. It's incredible. And at level 3 for the Sorcerer, you're going to be getting Aid, Alarm, Lesser Restoration, Protection from Good and Evil.
The utility of Lesser Restoration, especially on a non-cleric class, non-druid class, can't be understated.
Truly.
It has a lot of usefulness.
At 5th level, you're going to be getting Dispel Magic, wonderful, and Protection from Energy. At 7th level, Freedom of Movement and Summon Construct. And at 9th level, Greater Restoration and Wall of Force.
Wall of Force is very potent.
Absolutely, very potent spells. So exciting to have access to them all the time.
And here's the flavor of the order, right? Orderly, keeping this place over here, making sure everything is in okay condition. It's not too bad or too good, right? This is the flavor of Mechanist.
I love it.
Which this Sorcerer subclass takes from. So, additionally, when you use these spells, you get a manifestations of order in which you kind of change your appearance, or something happens when you cast these spells.
Behind
for example,
you or in front of you.
Yeah.
And these are some of the options. You
we'll go over a few of them.
Yeah, you can go over a couple of them. It's a D6, so you can randomize them or you can choose them. Like spectral cogwheels hover behind you, or hands of a clock spin in your eyes. Or
your skin glows. A brassy sheen. Ooh.
Spellcasting focus temporarily takes the form of a tiny clock. There's a lot of things to choose from. It's very fun and flavorful.
I would say, certainly. All right, then we have at level 3, your other kind of main ability is Restore Balance.
Your connection to the plane of the Absolute Order allows you to equalize chaotic movements. When a creature you can see within 60 feet of yourself is about to roll a d20 with advantage or disadvantage, you can take a reaction to prevent the roll from being affected by advantage and disadvantage.
That's really good. So
It's pretty powerful.
It's almost like a more balanced version of Silvery Barbs, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Okay.
Because Silvery Barbs was broken.
Now you can use this the amount of times equal to your charisma modifier per day, right? And so if your combat's lasting 3, 4, 5 rounds, you're doing kind of like cinematic combat, or you're not necessarily dungeon crawling, we can almost use this every turn to really balance out combat in the favor of your team. So that's a great way
Very
to
flavorful, very powerful.
And make your reaction usable every turn, because sometimes maybe you don't end up using it. And for sure now, every turn you got a way to make combat go into your favor. So level 6 is going to be Bastion of Law. In this way, you can tap into the equation of existence to shield. So as a magic action, you can spend 1 to 5 sorcery points to create a magic ward around yourself or the creature, and this gets better, the higher levels, within 30 feet. So the ward is represented by a number of d8s equal to the sorcery points you committed to create it. So it's almost like a temporary hit points, but it can stack with temporary hit points, right? When it takes damage, you first expend, you roll the dice and reduce the damage, almost like a shield that pops up, right?
Yeah,
but
it's
for
very
damage.
cool,
So,
very powerful. Sorcerers are squishy, so any little bit of extra oomph we can have, it's going to be pretty good.
yeah, so if you're not going to be a blasting type of sorcerer and you want to be more defensive, well, this is it, right? 5 sorcery points would be 5 d8s of defense. So I would say this doesn't scale super high, as in like
I
at higher
agree.
levels, 5d8 is sort of maybe a nice buffer tops, but the fact you can put it on a squishy person or on yourself does give you more survivability. I mean, not as good as like an Abjurer Wizard, but it's not bad. But I will say it does get better higher levels. You can target more creatures, and we'll get to that. This is actually a retake on the old Stone Sorcery, which was a UA thing, and it's better, I think, now in this subclass.
Trance of Order at level 14. You gain the ability to align your consciousness with the endless calculation of Mechanist. As a bonus action, you can enter the state for 1 minute. For the duration, attack rolls against you can't benefit from advantage, and whenever you make a d20 test, you can treat a roll of 9 or lower on the d20 as a 10. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest unless you spend 5 sorcery points. Again, no action required to restore your use of this.
I do like the no action required stipulation on all these kind of capstones. You've seen it even in Warlock and other classes in your Sorcerer, because it means that if you're willing to pay the price, you can use some of these strong capstone abilities more than once, and sometimes they're really cool and you want to do that. And because it's so limited, you just kind of hoard it, and it doesn't happen. But here, you're actually given the benefit of the doubt to use that more than once.
Yeah,
or even once.
and sometimes when you use something, you do time it wrong, or you just want another go at it again.
That's true.
And being able to get a redo is something I think that anyone who's rolled a natural 1 would appreciate.
And that's good. That's funny. And that's good flexibility. So I'll go back a little bit about this. To do this trance, you do have to use another bonus action if you've already done it for your innate sorcery, right? That kind of like sorcerer self buff. Then you have to use another turn to do that. So when do you do it? When do you don't? So it's a little bit conflicting there. And also making a lower roll just a 10. At lower levels, that's okay. But at higher levels, when you're going up against higher DCs, like a DC of 20 or 25, a 10 is not even going to get you. It'll probably maybe avoid like a critical fail or whatever, but it's not going to get you to hit most of the time. So it's good, and it does work into the balance of the sorcerer. But overall, I wouldn't say it's super strong.
Yeah. Level 18, you're going to get Clockwork Cavalcade. You momentarily summon spirits of order to expunge disorder around you. As a magic action, you can summon the spirits in a 30-foot cube originating from you. The spirits look like modrons or other constructs of your choice. The spirits are intangible and invulnerable, and they create the effects below within the cube before vanishing. Once you use this action, you can't do it again until you finish a long rest or unless you spend 7 sorcery points. Again, that no action required to restore your use of it. And these are the options.
So anybody inside this cube gets all these different abilities. I actually really like this. They can either heal, right? The 30-foot cube. In this case, the spirits restore up to 100 hit points divided among creatures of your choice within this cube. So you could do a 100 hit point heal immediately to somebody.
That's incredible.
Using your magic action. So it's almost like using your magic action to cast the heal spell.
Correct.
Right? Also repair. You can repair any damaged objects in the cube, immediately repaired. So if you have a construct, right, that you can summon earlier, that's repaired. And what else?
Every spell of level 6 and lower ends on creatures and objects of your choice within the cube.
Okay. So
this is very, very powerful.
You think so?
I think this, I'm going to be honest, as we've been working through this one, I'm leaning closer to like a C ranking. But this, even though it's a very high level ability, it's very redeeming for the class.
That does take it away from me a little bit, because remember how many adventures or campaigns really go to like tier 4.
Agreed.
So you really want to front load a lot of the abilities when you're talking about having classes that are good for the general population.
Yes.
But when you get up there and you're making a higher level campaign, or you're expecting it to high level, well, you for sure want to make sure you're getting your money's worth, if you will, on having these higher level abilities. So,
but the Sorcerer is already so front-loaded as a class that the subclasses are, I think, a little bit of an afterthought in some ways when you're thinking about the meta magic and the spells and all the things that you get as the class.
Because think about everything you're doing here, like summoning this as your magic action, it doesn't use a leveled spell, so you can do this and then cast Fireball or cast whatever, Cone of Cold or whatever damage spell. So overall, I don't know, I'm still leaning towards probably like, I know the balancing and the reaction is pretty good, but still for me, this is probably like a C.
I would say it's
maybe
C
bordering on a B, maybe, depending on what level your campaign is and if you decide to multi-class or not. So
yeah, I think a lot of these things can be done flavorfully without necessarily the subclass, if I'm being honest.
Oh, especially like when you cast a spell and you look different.
Correct.
You can already kind of do that by just saying you're doing that, right?
Changing role play.
Changing your spell role play, yeah.
Not my favorite, but this is certainly, like I said, the Sorcerer is one of the most powerful classes in D&D 2024.
We certainly think so.
Absolutely. So we are going to be continuing to bring you content every single day until we get through the entire player's handbook. We're talking about classes, subclasses, magic items, weapons, spells, everything you can imagine. Please...
subscribe.
Yeah,
do the
Smite
thing.
that like button. We really appreciate all of you. We'd love to engage with you in the comments down below.
And tomorrow, we're bringing you the next Sorcerer subclass.
What's it going to be?
Get ready. See you in
Next
Mechanist.
time.
And also next time.